Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Paul Workman. I am the man of constant hatred. Welcome back to Just Born Movies, the show where we take movies straight out of the Hollywood womb and dissect them for you. My guest this week is Manny Classic. Manny Classic? What did we see?
This week we saw Marvel's Black Panther.
How'd you like this film?
Legitimately, it's now in my top 5 of Marvel films. Honestly, if I'm ranking them, it's probably my number 2. So that's how much I liked it. A whole lot.
Honestly, I think it might be my number 2 as well. Captain America Winter Soldier is still my number 1, but this film is absolutely amazing.
Yeah. So we didn't confer on our list, but my number 1 is also Captain America Winter Soldier. It's really great. But
That's a great film.
yeah.
But here we go. So what did you like about the film?
The easiest thing for me to do right now would be to say everything, but I feel like that's not a compelling video. Just to look at the camera and be like, we liked everything. See ya.
It is, from top to bottom, amazing.
So, I guess we should start at the cast.
Let's start with the
Let's
cast.
start there. So, Chadwick Boseman reprises his role as T'Challa / Black Panther, and just does everything to add layers of depth and emotion to a character that the first time you saw was literally his emotional arc of his father dying, and he puts even more into that. You get really great kind of flashback scenes with him and his father that add even more depth and layers to their what already seemed like tender relationship.
Yeah, and I will say anytime that T'Chaka is on screen, it is just emotion pouring from it. It is beautiful to watch.
Yeah. So you get that. Even though she doesn't get a lot of screen time, Angela Bassett as his mother, the Queen Mother, she is really phenomenal. They do things to make sure that she's visually striking on screen. There's a particular scene where there's some darkness, and for some reason she has this really great platinum blonde hair that forces you to pay attention directly to her.
And, I mean, it's not hard for Angela Bassett to just kind of command a screen, but she does it.
Yeah,
every scene.
They really helped everyone in this movie look really great.
Yeah.
So
even in scenes where it's her in a room full of people, she is kind of like the center point.
Yeah, she's
you have to look at her. She is phenomenal. Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense given the dynamics of royalty and stuff like that for her to almost play the Queen Elizabeth role. So everyone, even though Chadwick Boseman's Black Panther T'Challa is the king, she's still like the actual ruling figure. She's still the face to everyone. So
right.
She's clearly in the center of everything, and the movie is the better for it every time she's on screen.
Absolutely. And then there's Michael B. Jordan. I can't talk enough about Michael B. Jordan because every time he's in a movie, it's his best performance yet. And he keeps getting better and better and better, and he's so good in this film. Him as Eric Killmonger, it's probably the most compelling villain that Marvel has put forth yet.
Yeah, with the Marvel cinematic landscape, stakes keep getting larger and larger and larger. And even though this movie ramps up the stakes for these particular characters, I think Michael B. Jordan's Eric Killmonger is realistically the most realistically driven of the villains that we've seen thus far.
Yeah.
So
and he's not just kind of a ham-fisted villain either, mustache twirling. No, he has a legitimate plot, a legitimate arc, and there are moments where you, like any great villain, when he starts talking, you start agreeing with him. And I mean, this might be the best comic book movie villain since Heath Ledger's Joker.
Yeah.
I feel comfortable in saying that.
Like I said, his motivations are realistically driven. It's not like he's like, I'm going to dominate the world. No, some awful things happen to him that he decides he would like to get vengeance for, but they're all deeply personal. So on a human level, you're almost rooting for him to be like, yeah, man, that role sucks. Like, some people kind of screwed you, and, they should get what's coming to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then just continuing down the cast, Lupita Nyong'o is wonderful. She's wonderful in everything. She's wonderful in this. There's a reason that woman has an Oscar, and I'm happy she just shines in this film.
Yeah, all of who I don't want to call the female supporting actresses because every single scene they were in was clearly about them. I'm willing to say that Black Panther at its core is more about the women surrounding Black Panther than it is even about Eric Killmonger and Black Panther, because all of them are empowered, all of them are clearly take charge, and even though they have their own different motivations for who they're fighting for and why they're fighting, all of them are of strong mind as to their resolve going into all of their actions. None of them are just like throwaway actions. You're just like, oh, we need to move the plot along, so we'll just have one of the female characters do something ridiculous. No,
they all get arcs.
Yeah,
they all get real arcs, and that's rather beautiful to see in a Hollywood movie in 2018, which is kind of sad to say.
Yeah, it's disappointing.
I don't like that I have to be excited about that, but I am.
I feel like even if this was the norm, it's so exceptionally done that I would still be excited about the arcs that they all received and everything like that.
Yeah,
they were all
absolutely.
Full three-dimensional characters in a movie that has not a huge runtime either.
It's just a little over 2 hours.
Yeah, so they did a lot with the amount of time that was in the film. It never feels like it's really dragging or anything like that. There are some lulls in order to kind of reset your palate from what's happening, but they never drag. They're never like, oh man, what's taking so long for this to get going again?
Yeah, because none of the exposition feels like exposition. It feels like actual world building on top of everything, which I think Coogler's... I think I said it during our look forward. Coogler is one of the best directors working today, and he did not disappoint.
Yeah, it's another great Ryan Coogler film that just so happens to have Michael B. Jordan in it again.
So
anytime you see those two names on a marquee, go ahead and put your money up, because it's going to be worth it.
Yeah, if he's Scrooge's Lucky Penny, then continue putting him in films, because he's amazing. Coogler's amazing. They are a team, a lot like Scorsese and De Niro, or Spielberg and Hanks. They're an amazing team together, and I hope they continue to make film after film with each other, because why not?
Yeah.
It's just talent.
Let's see, we get Martin Freeman and...
Andy Serkis.
Andy Serkis.
Oh, Andy Serkis. All right. Now, it's nice to see Andy Serkis in this doing the live-action role, because he was the ham-fisted villain, and he plays every moment of it like he should.
Yeah. Is it a live-action role? Because clearly his arm is still CGI. But yeah, Andy Serkis. So, for those of you who don't remember, Andy Serkis is playing Ulysses Klaue, who is one of the few villains who just doesn't immediately get killed in their first outing in a film, and actually manages to make it back here to Black Panther, where he puts in a great performance for the limited amount of time that he gets, especially because he is that ham-fisted villain. Like, he's kind of bungling his way through the entire thing.
He's so fun.
But the nuts thing is he realizes he's bungling it the entire time, so he's just playing it as a game. Like, this is all very funny to him, which makes it funny to us as the audience.
Yeah, there's just a moment in the film where he comes on screen and... Sorry, my dog's making noise over there. He comes on screen and him and Martin Freeman are having this exchange. And Martin Freeman says something, wow, you got a huge entourage. There a mixtape dropping soon? He's like, yeah, I can give you a link to the SoundCloud. And you just get little quips and puns like that through the entire film, and he's so much fun. And Martin Freeman does a great job too. I think he's definitely not wasted.
Yeah, man, I keep saying it, but he gets a really great arc for this character that you've met in passing throughout other films. He gets a couple lines here and there, but in this film you get a lot of what would be his character's backstory. You get this really kind of emotional arc where, spoilers, he may or may not end up thinking he's going to die. But yeah, he becomes, in the way that Marvel Phase 1 had Agent Coulson play this everyman hero, Martin Freeman's character in this phase becomes that character in this movie.
Yeah, which is actually kind of nice to root for him in this film, because in Civil War you're actively rooting against him, because he's standing against Captain America, who, let's face it, is probably the most well-rounded character of the MCU so far until now.
Yeah, until this movie.
So, and I'm not going to say that he's not still one of the most well-rounded, but this movie, the entire cast just gets the treatment. And nobody's wasted on screen. Mm-hmm. Speaking of no one being wasted, I want to talk about Winston Duke as M'Baku.
Yeah. So, the way that the Black Panther Wakandan nation is set up is that there's 5 tribes. 4 of these tribes all pledge direct allegiance to the very first Black Panther, with one of the tribes going up into the mountains, pretty much like, y'all can do that. We got our own thing going.
Yeah, we good.
So, T'Chaka ends up dying, which I always pronounce wrong, so that's going to be a thing.
Yeah, T'Chaka.
Yeah. So he ends up dying, of course. So now we have to crown T'Challa as the new king. So traditionally they have a ceremonial fight where any of the tribes can choose to send a warrior. If they choose to, they don't have to. They can just concede the bloodline, pretty much. Mm-hmm. And the 4 major tribes all decide, we're just going to hold off. You guys have been doing well. And then here he comes, with his tribe straight from the mountains.
Oh, and their entrance is beautiful. It is just beautifully staged.
So they come out, he challenges them to a fight. Of course, it's very early in the movie, so he ends up losing that fight, because we need to set up Black Panther as the kind of be-all and end-all of Wakanda. Then he disappears for 45 minutes, 50 minutes of this movie.
He's gone for a considerable amount of it, but they set him up well, so you you're going to see him again.
Yeah, he ends up losing the fight. They take him back to his mountain retreat and everything like that. And then we need to go find them because we need an army.
So, essentially, when you get back to his tribe, he just steals every moment. Every moment that there is a camera on him, he decides that he is going to fill the screen with his presence, and he does so in such a tremendous way. Winston Duke, if you manage to see this, I know we've said a lot of great things about a lot of people, but you were the MVP of every scene you were in.
Yeah.
And we love you for it.
The heartiest laugh I got in the entire film is set up by him threatening Martin Freeman's character. Martin Freeman goes to go talk in front of his royal court, and the best way I can describe it is the barking made by an Arsenio Hall crowd. And he just looks at him and he's like, "You don't get to talk in my court. If you talk again, if you say another word, I will feed you to my children." And everyone's real serious about this moment. And he's like, "Huh, joking, we're vegetarians." And like, there was this moment where the entire theater was just like, "Huh?" And then it hit everyone at one time, and it became this uproar of laughter.
Because you're so busy laughing about him feeding them to his children in the first place, that kind of sneaks in underneath, and then it hits you, and then you're laughing all over again as they're laughing. So everyone's having a good laugh.
Yeah, it's a really great moment of just genius comedy, which there is Marvel sometimes is too lighthearted in their approach to superhero movies. Sometimes they're just throwing jokes just to throw jokes at people
Right.
and everything like that. This movie has a fair bit of comedy, but it always made sense within the scenario. There's just certain characters that are just snappy or witty, and then there's times like that where a very serious character just puts over the fact that they could do something and then just choose not to.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the writing is, along with the comedy, just the writing just flows. It is beautiful.
Yeah. So,
There's not a breath wasted. Every word makes sense as to where we're going.
yeah, it's phenomenal storytelling. So Ryan Coogler and Joe Robert Cole, you guys did a wonderful script. I loved every second of it. It wasn't real hammy dialogue. It didn't feel like superhero chatter. It's great. It's all great. And then there was the sets.
I actually took notes at one point while you were getting something to drink, which the scene you got up for was them first entering Wakanda as through this kind of technological veil. So I immediately whipped out my phone. I'm typing. The woman's looking at me next to me, just like, "What are you doing, boy?" Anyway, so I was like, what I wrote is that they made Wakanda this technological marvel while keeping its African roots, but without making it look like what the assumption of stereotypical Africa would be.
Right.
It was gorgeous.
So every set, even the simpler ones, the way they dressed in Jobu's apartment at the beginning of the film.
Which, in case you're wondering, that's in Oakland. In case you're wondering why we're talking about it specifically.
Yes. So it stands out. It stands out originally because it's the first actual set you see. The film opens in Oakland, California, on a bunch of kids playing basketball in a court, just with like a laundry basket nailed to a board, and then you're taken up to Njobu's apartment where he's planning something, and it's just a simple design. It doesn't attract too much attention, but it's really nice looking. And then you get in, like you said, into Wakanda, where it's traditional meets futuristic, and the tribe that lives in the mountains, the way that M'Baku's throne room looks is beautiful. There's just so many things in this film that are just fun to look at.
I will say the only shortcoming that I have of this entire film comes from the way that something looks.
Oh yeah.
So a couple times throughout the movie, you go to this extra planar kind of space where the Black Panther is allowed to pretty much talk to the former Black Panthers. There are a few times where you can clearly see he's standing in front of a green screen, just the way that stuff is moving behind him.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's because I'm watching the movie so in depth that I notice these things. If you're just casually watching and actually paying attention to the dialogue and what you're supposed to be paying attention to, you definitely would never notice. But there's a few points where if you're just staring at the characters in the background, you can see it's CGI rendered green screen. Just stuff isn't moving the way that it should.
Though I kind of like it because it's supposed to be a more astral plane.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be like another realm. And honestly, the way they dress it kind of reminded me of the film What Dreams May Come. So it was nice to look at, but I can understand what you're saying. It definitely did look very, very green screeny.
Yeah. But that being said, it is very minor, and maybe 5 minutes of the entire movie takes place in that realm. And it's not even the entire time you're in there. It's just kind of when he's exhibiting a lot of emotion, and everything around him is just kind of gently swaying back and forth. And it's telling that it's there because just the way that he's moving around and things like that, you could tell that the green screen didn't necessarily cameras didn't necessarily keep up with the green screen, with them adding in the effect. So, but yeah, it's wonderful.
It is.
So the music for this movie is wonderful.
Wonderful.
Kendrick Lamar, I believe, did the
a-
original songs.
Yeah, he did.
And yet again, like the Nation of Wakanda, you get really great kind of backbeats with traditional African influence, but then remodernized in almost an industrial Daft Punk type style.
Right.
With just a lot of kind of almost dubstep and stuff like that. It's not exactly that, but it's pretty close to industrial uptempo and things like that.
Which is especially fun because the man who did the music was a man named Ludwig Göransson. So you're getting all this real beautiful African inspired rhythms and kind of upbeat modern techno from some German dude.
Yeah. So the music is great. There's a couple modern songs that all fit into the scenarios that they're in. There's Korean bars and stuff like that without giving too much away. But the music choices are clear and concise without being on the nose like, hey, this is what we're doing, this is what it is. And it's never... The music choices are never so kind of... Even though they're playing and they're part of everything that's going on, they're never the focal point. They always just lay in the background and let you know what's going on, even if you're not directly paying attention to the dialogue or where they're at. Like, just listening to that music is going to inform you about what is going on in that scene.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, it's just strong style choices. Nothing feels out of place. It all fits within context. It's really good music. And then there's action sequences.
Yeah.
Oh, every action sequence is gold. The car chase through Korea is wonderful. The two battle sequences for the throne are tense and well paced.
Those are my two favorite sequences.
They're wonderful
because legit you can watch them just out of the film, and you get two entirely different stories, even though every part of the set is the same. Most of the characters are the same because you get a lot of the characters kind of around watching. So you get a lot of kind of similarities between the two, and they're telling two drastically different stories. And I love that kind of duality in film where you get a scene and then the same scene done in a different way, just to... It's almost like showing off, just to be like, hey, I could do this scene twice and make it believable and contextually just brilliant in two very different ways.
Now, I'm a wrestling fan, as is Manny.
That's true.
And I really appreciate these because watching storytelling through a fight scene is a lot like what you expect from wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
So to be able to watch, if you, like I said, if you were to turn the sound off and watch this, you could probably tell the entire story without hearing a single word uttered. Because they are so perfectly staged, they are so beautifully done, and the stakes are just incredible. So by the time you finish, especially that second one, you are just on the edge of your seat wondering what's going to happen. And it does not disappoint.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then the entire final battle sequence is breathtaking. So many good beats, so many good character moments. Daniel Kaluuya, who we did not mention yet, turned in another phenomenal performance after stealing our hearts in Get Out. He is a phenomenal actor, and when him and Michael B. Jordan were on screen together, I thought I was going to die.
Yeah, it's... He has a phenomenal character arc as kind of trusted ally to would-be traitor back to friend. his character arc in this film is phenomenal, and he gets cybernetic rhinos.
Which was really cool. Those rhinos came charging out, and I didn't even know what to do with myself at that moment.
Like, so Wakanda's this country, technological, flying spaceships, all this stuff, and he's just like, I'm gonna blow on this horn. And everyone's like, no, don't do it! And he blows on this horn, and you're expecting some atomic bomb or something like that. And instead, you get mind-controlled rhinos in cybernetic armor. Like, what is going on?
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's really great, because you're watching them charge through, like, these fallen carriers, these ships and everything like that. And you're just like, wow. Realistically, a rhino could probably do that to begin with. They just go throw cybernetic armors on them and just ride them around.
Just great.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable.
It's so good. You know, there's not enough. There are not enough words for me to describe exactly how good this is. And I will go on record as saying that I have not been impressed with a Marvel film since Civil War, or Winter Soldier, Captain America Winter Soldier. So there's been a string of Marvel films that I've just been like, oh, it's another Marvel film. Oh, it's another Marvel film. This is the first Marvel film since then that I have left the theater like, wow, Marvel's still at the top of the game. Because I kind of felt that way up through the beginning of Phase 1 into Phase 2. Then Winter Soldier hit, and I'm just like, wow, this movie's really great. And then everything after that's been a steady decline. This is the first film that has made me feel really like, hey, maybe I should keep investing in watching these Marvel films to see where it ends up going. That being said, characters, writing, visuals, music, cinematography, wardrobe, costuming, everything, based on our scale, I'm going to say damn near perfect.
I'm just about everywhere where you said. I'm going to digress into, I have enjoyed a couple more of the Marvel films since then. I enjoyed Ant-Man. I really enjoyed Doctor Strange. I feel like, they were still pretty standard Marvel fare. But I think Guardians of the Galaxy 2 and Thor Ragnarok were really climbing back to this point. And this point is Marvel on the top of its game. This point is Marvel reclaiming the throne. They said, we see what you're doing, DC, and it's not good. We're going to put Coogler in charge. Ryan Coogler is the truth. He's one of the finest directors working today. Fruitvale Station got robbed. Throw up that graphic again.
That's a true fact.
Creed got robbed in so many categories. It's one of the finest sports films ever made. This is one of the finest comic book films ever made. If you don't like this movie, there's something wrong with you. Okay, I'm going to get off of the soapbox now. This movie is the truth. Ryan Coogler, you are the truth. I'm not going to go quite to damn near perfect. I am going to go damn great, though. But I can't disagree with damn near perfect. It's so good. So good.
Like, this movie is scarily good. I'm afraid that the next Marvel movies are going to seem bad just based on comparison.
I'm still not that excited for Infinity War. I really want to see Ant-Man and the Wasp because that trailer's a lot of fun, and there's a giant Hello Kitty Pez dispenser. And you can't see off camera right now my collection of Pez dispensers over there.
There's a lot.
A lot. But this film is going to be hard to top. It's not just going to be hard to top for Marvel. It's going to be hard to top for DC, who's got Aquaman coming out this year. It's going to be hard to top for the X-Men films, which have just all sucked except Logan. It's going to be hard to top for any other comic book properties coming out in the future. Everybody's telling you how good it is. It is that good.
Yeah.
So what did you think of Black Panther? Hope we didn't scare you from commenting down below, because I want to know if you loved it or hate it. Like, share, subscribe. Don't forget to watch our other shows on the channel. Drinking Age Movies, where Manny Classic and myself review movies that are 21 years old. Damn Fine Meats, where Manny Classic, the man here, makes burgers and other fine meats based off of those films. And as always, have a damn fine day.